We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. Get off his fucking neck. Love that makes you know he can't fucking breathe. Love that makes you know we are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, come to Butthead. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I have got a glorious panel here with me to break down all the shit talking and shenanigans, the fight announcements, and the fuckery that has fallen out of the MMA pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. I, of course, am your hostess with the mostest, the meter. The meter does many things if you're nasty. As always, I have got Golf to You Vapes and Slowbake 420 here with me to talk all that fun shit. So first and foremost, gentlemen, how the hell are you doing this evening?
Back after 2 weeks off to, well, a hangover that's lasted 2 fucking weeks.
I kind of feel that for sure. Doing decent. I don't feel as tired this week. Hopefully, don't pass out in the middle of the episode. But, like I texted you earlier today, I don't give too much of a fuck about these fights. So looking forward to some good ones.
Yep, as is the case with most hangover weeks lately, there's some diamonds in the rough, but boy, do you got to dig to get to them. But we'll get there. We'll get into that in due time. First and foremost, start things off the way we like to kick them off around here. A little bit of news and recent events, fight confirmations, fight cancellations, fuckery in the MMA world in general that has happened since we talked to you wonderful folks last. Because Boy, has there been a little bit since we saw you folks last. Not a ton, but some interesting things to say the least here. So, to kick things off right off at the top here, if you've been following the story, the saga continues with Ryan Garcia. He literally can't get out of his own way at this point. He has now decided that last week he was going to go on a, I guess now it's an X, or used to be Twitter, tirade in which he used a bunch of homophobic slurs, a bunch of racial slurs, just talked a whole bunch of ignorant shit, looked like he was very intoxicated. But afterwards, the president of the WBC came out and said that they are officially expelling him for life from the WBC organization. He is no longer welcome in their rankings or against any of their competitors. The 1 year suspension for fucking around wasn't enough. He's at this point literally sabotaging anything he had left of a career. And on one hand, you do have to feel bad for the kid because there's clearly something going on there that he definitely needs help with. But on the other hand, when somebody puts their foot to the floor and decides that they're going into the fucking wall, it's hard to peel that foot back sometimes. And this kid seems like he's got that pedal to the fucking downboard and it's not moving. So hopefully everything works out all right. But at this point, it's not looking good. Tying back to a couple weeks ago here, we heard rumors initially that there was some fuckery afoot with the MVP versus Ian Gary matchup that Ian Gary had said that someone in his camp told him that someone from MVP's camp was trying to buy information about what their game plan was for the fight. MVP obviously came out and said that that's bullshit, that he denied it. Well, yesterday we got a little bit more of that story. It turns out that this isn't just rumor. This isn't just hearsay. This isn't just Ian Gary trying to get attention for himself. The fighter has actually come forward. He's been named. He's a 25-year-old shoot the box fighter. He actually presented the text messages and voice messages from one of MVP's training partners offering $10,000 cash money for any information that they could provide on the game plan that Gary was going to use against MVP. To his credit, the shoot the box fighter denied it. And then to kind of play it up, the other person on the other end came back with, I didn't think you would ever do something like that, but I knew you were in need of money, so I had to make the offer, which is generally a good sign that you're guilty and you just got shut down by the person you were trying to get guilty with. And the fact that the text messages and the voice messages are out there now, MVP can deny it all he wants. Maybe MVP didn't have personal knowledge of this, but now we know for a concrete fact that one of his people in his team did make a $10,000 offer to someone in the shoot the box gym, which is stupid as fuck if you know anything about Brazilians and the shoot the box history unto itself. To try and buy their loyalty is just a stupid move to begin with. But now we know that someone in that camp was actually that stupid because they brought the fucking receipts to show that they tried to get solicited for this shit, to their credit. Very stupid on that gentleman's part. Very smart on that shoot the box fighter to keep the fucking receipts. So we'll see how this plays out going forward, because Dana has already said he doesn't think it's real and it has nothing to do with them, that that's just out of fight stuff. But if it turns out that we have concrete evidence that someone from one camp legitimately offered money to someone from another camp to sabotage the fight, that's something that needs to be addressed. That's so much bigger than fucking sports betting. This is something that needs to be looked into further now that we have actual receipts and it's not a fucking rumor anymore. It's probably not going to because it's that big of a deal, but it should be. And that's why we're talking about it. That being said, go ahead.
That's some shoddy shit. And if you're MVP and you honestly didn't know about it, you switch teams immediately. That is the best. Ties. Cut fucking ties, because that proves you had nothing to do with it, and you don't want to have anything to do with cheaters, because that falls into that same fucking category of betting on fights where you know somebody's hurt coming into a fight. That's that same category of fucked up. Get fucking punted.
Yep. Yeah, I 100% agree. It's ridiculous bullshit, and the fact that we have the receipts now, the time for MVP denying any knowledge of it is not enough. I 100% agree, because if you did have no knowledge of it, you're spot the fuck on. You cut anyone who was even around the dude that you know made that fucking connection out of your fucking camp permanently. They are gone. They are not welcome back ever. Blackballed for fucking life. Otherwise, you're complicit whether you fucking do it or not. And if you're complicit in shit like that, you don't fucking belong in the top of the fucking heap. Get your ass back in the fucking B leagues, bitch. That being said, if you didn't get to see that particular Saturday of craziness, we got what I can only describe as a once in a lifetime occurrence in our co-main event for that card. Literally, Saturday morning, Dan Ige is getting a massage, enjoying a day off with nothing on his afternoon agenda other than fucking relaxing. And he gets a phone call from Hunter Campbell while he's laying on the massage table. Hey, what are you away right now? What are you doing this afternoon? Turns out, after having problems through camp and then not being able to make the initial featherweight showdown, Brian Ortega made 155 pounds, and then that night into the next morning got sick and ended up having to be put in the hospital. Diego Lopez, being the badass that he is, accepted on 3 hours notice the co-main event in T-Mobile fucking Arena. It just so happened that Dan Ige lived in Las Vegas. Hunter Campbell had him on speed dial, and he was walking around at 165 pounds. After waking weight at 145 and then 155 pounds, because Diego Lopez was that much of a badass, then starting to rehydrate, he then weighed in a third fucking time in front of the commission on site and made 165 pounds to save the co-main event in a spectacular fucking fight that you could not have planned better if you gave both those men full camps and let them fight whenever fucking they wanted to. Just absolute fucking hats off. We still, as far as I know, have not heard anything confirmed on what is going on officially with Ortega, whether he is going to try to come back to featherweight, whether he is going to try to stay at lightweight, because we know he was initially, before the Lopez or the Diego Lopez fight was announced, in camp training for a fight in September at 306 at the Spear at lightweight, where he was going to subsequently move to and stay at 155 pounds, which is why he had so much trouble initially making 45 for this fight. We have not heard anything in terms of if he is going to be okay officially, if he is going to go back to 45, if he's staying at 55, if he's never going to fight again. Brian Ortega is just kind of sitting in a fucking cloud right now. So obviously we hope everything comes out all right with him, but this is one of those things where no news is generally not good news, where generally if it's not as bad as it looks and it looks bad, you get word out immediately. And we've had mum for, going on a week and a half now. So obviously we'll keep you guys up to date on how that story unfolds, but it was a weird situation. If you didn't see it happen live, it's something that you should be aware happened. Coming back a little closer though, Michelle Waterson Gomez officially has had her last UFC fight. After losing a hard-fought battle to Jillian Robertson, the UFC gave her a full-on 3-minute highlight reel video send-off as she laid her gloves down in the cage and stepped aside to spend more time with her family and do things outside of the UFC. Obviously, it's nice to see a fighter make their decision when they want to go out. Michelle Waterson has been around. The karate hottie has been a staple in female combat sports, in MMA for, the better part of 20 fucking years now, and really did help pioneer women's MMA into the mainstream that it is today. So obviously fucking hat tip to Michelle here, and hope that everything goes well for her in the future. But it was a little bit of an odd showing, not because of how everything played out or because Michelle retired, because Michelle had mentioned previously that she had been thinking about retiring. She was getting to that point. It was getting harder to do camps. She was spending more time away from her family, and she didn't like that. So the writing was on the wall there for that. The thing that made it a little weird, at least for me, was that right after that, I think it was either the next fight or 2 fights after that, Andrei Arlovsky makes UFC history in his 40-second professional walk. Goes out, does better than I think anyone anticipated he was going to. And as he's leaving the cage, they announce on the broadcast that this is the final fight of Andrei Arlovsky's UFC contract. Dana confirms in the post-fight interview that's his final fight. They're not going to opt for him to get re-signed, that he hopes Andre retires, but they're not going to be the one to let him fight again. So Andrei Arlovsky, who has literally been fighting for the UFC for almost the entirety of the UFC for 20 years, held multiple different fucking title opportunities in different weight classes, held the belt at one time. They just kind of walk him out the door. But Michelle Waterson, who had not officially announced she was retiring that night, got a pre-made, ready-to-go highlight reel film send-off. I'm not saying Michelle Waterson doesn't deserve a highlight reel send-off. I'm just saying it's a little weird how the UFC picks and chooses who they're going to do favors with on the way out. Robbie Lawler got a perfect fucking send-off. They had a highlight reel ready for him. He had announced he was going to retire. They gave him a great matchup. He did what he was going to do. They let him walk off into the sunset like a fucking hero. Andrei Arlovsky, they let him fight the last fight on his contract and let him walk out. And as he's leaving, announced that he's not coming back, as he's making a literal historic walk for the UFC. Just a little weird, in my opinion. A little strange how they choose to do some shit like that. Coming back a little closer to now, this last weekend, aside from all of the other craziness that unfolded, Darren Till actually, for the first time since 2019, got back into the win column because he took a 3-day short notice boxing match in Saudi Arabia that ended via TKO for a rabbit punch to the back of the head. That was enough to stop the fight because the gentleman couldn't continue, but not enough to stop that same gentleman after the fight was ended from rushing at Darren Till, single leg takedowning him in the boxing ring and starting a full on like 30 some odd person fucking melee in the boxing ring. I will say Darren Till didn't look horrible in the boxing portion of the actual sanctioned match there for a short notice fight. The guy he was fighting was not a world beater, to say the very least. But then we get this weird fucking, they're basically clenched up over shoulders of each other. And Darren goes to throw a short shot to the side of the guy's head. And you can see it lands just ever, and I mean ever, so slightly behind the gentleman's ear. There's no power in the shot whatsoever. And the guy almost drops to his knees, holding the back of his head, playing it the fuck up 100%. Aljamain Sterling could take fucking notes here. The referee comes in, decides that the guy can't take anymore. They're going to stop the fight. At this point, they judge it on the scorecards for some reason, and it becomes a TKO win for Darren Till. And as soon as they announce that, the guy that he was fighting starts screaming and yelling and charges Darren, and Darren like backs up and then charges back at him, at which point the guy grabs a single leg on Darren Till with boxing gloves on and takes Darren Till down to the canvas in the ring. It was an entire fucking circus at that point. But to be fair, technically, Darren Till got a win before all that happened. So Darren Till is technically back in the win column for the first time in several years now. He, in expected fashion, talked a whole bunch of shit about everyone and their brother, Mike Perry, everyone in the UFC, Jorge Masvidal, Nate Diaz, just ran his fucking mouth like there was no tomorrow once it was all said and done, and then basically slinked back into the shadows where Darren Till seems to live these days, apparently. We will see how that plays out if we see Darren Till again anytime soon. But speaking of people who kind of live in the shadows, we got a bit of a weird announcement this week from the UFC. Monday this week, the UFC officially released Travis Brown from his UFC contract, despite him not having fought in 7 years. They just released him of his contract Monday, which makes me think that Travis is probably trying to do something at some form or at some level rather in combat sports, because Ronda's been talking a lot lately about fighters that they are potentially coaching. So I'm wondering if maybe Travis is trying to get into promoting at this point, or maybe considering starting his own fight promotion or working somewhere in the fight game. Travis is trying to walk back in, it seems like. Otherwise, why the fuck would the UFC wait 7 years to release him from his contract now? It's not because he's going to take a fight somewhere or go do fucking slap boxing. They'd have just let him fucking do it. There's something behind the scenes here.
I to be honest, every time I hear shit like that where, oh, they're waiting all this time, that's a UFC thing. They do that to a lot of fighters where they'll just hold on to their fucking contract so they can't do whatever the fuck they want. I can't say that it's a fighter thing, because there's a lot of fighters who fucking protested to get their shit released. And I mean, that's how fucking Ngannou got out. Otherwise, they'd still have his fucking contract.
That's how Nate got out.
Yeah.
They agreed to release him from his contract after that last fight.
Yeah. So it's a UFC thing. They know who they want to hold on to. Like, at one point, Travis Brown was a top of the line fighter in the fucking heavyweight division. Or was he light heavyweight? I don't even fucking remember. It's been so goddamn long. Heavyweight.
I think he was heavyweight. Yeah. I think he was heavyweight.
But I look at it and I go, stop fucking shelving these guys. Once their contract is complete with however many fights that you had them on contract for, that shit needs to go. But unfortunately, because of the way that other shit played out in court, they're going to continue to do the same fucking bullshit and fuck people left and right. And unfortunately, that screws a lot of us fans who want to see these guys go and do other things before they're old and decrepit and trying to come back. Like that bullshit fucking Rampage was talking about fucking having a boxing match with fucking Rashad Evans just a couple days ago when he was on fucking Joe Rogan's podcast. So I don't want to see those fucking old guys fight. I want to see them, like, don't get me wrong, the idea of a legacy league is fucking cool, but it's never going to happen because you have fucking organization like the UFC that holds on to these contracts where they're not going to let people go.
I'll put an asterisk on that. And Rampage himself actually touched on it in that same Joe Rogan interview. I don't want to see these old guys go out and box some fucking young guy, some influencer, somebody to try and catch a payday. What I don't mind, and I enjoyed the ever living fuck out of, and apparently everyone involved did as well, was the Siamese boxing match that Rampage and Bob Sapp took part in over in Fight Circus, where they put on a gigantic t-shirt. One man put one arm through, the other man put the other arm through, and they locked arms in the middle, and you can only use that arm. And it's a two-headed t-shirt against two other dudes on the other side, and it was fucking glorious chaos. And Rampage said that's the most fun he's ever had in a fight. I would absolutely welcome any, I don't care how long they've been retired, any ex-fighter.
Watching that part of that interview, I was so fucking angry at Joe Rogan for not asking more questions about Fight Circus.
Follow up, dude. That's the only place that does shit like this. And he just told you that's the most fun he's ever had in his fighting career. Follow up, Joe.
Yeah. He missed a golden opportunity to hear about just fucking goddamn foot in a tire and just crazy shit that goes on. I mean, you've even had, and they've had big fucking names over there.
Yes,
you've seen fucking Rampage, Bob Sapp. You've seen the Gypsy King in there.
Tyson Fury's been over there. Yeah, they had Felony Bennett over there 2 shows ago. They had fucking Steve Panda Banks over there 2 shows ago, or 2 or 3 shows ago. Like, they bring legitimate, recognizable fucking people. Like, there's a reason we talk about Fight Circus here. It's not just because they're crazy and they're fun and they do weird shit. It's because there's some legitimacy to the craziness that they put on. They do fun things and they understand exactly what they are and what they can and can't do. And they have fun with it. Rampage himself, the most fun he's ever had in his fighting career. Come on, dudes. Throw that Siamese fucking t-shirt on, pick a fucking hand, strap the glove on it, and let's get fucking silly. I don't care how long you've been retired. That was fun as shit. And I think even some fucking Tank Abbott age fucking dudes could still get in there and wing one arm and giggle in a fucking boxing ring like that without worrying about having to get too hurt seriously. That being said. We did get a couple of really interesting fight announcements here that I wanted to run down real quick. The first one, we basically got the majority of 305 announced here. I'm not going to run down all of them because, like everything, there's some fucking filler in there. But there was some very relevant fights that they put on 305 that I do want to talk about real quick. The first one, August 17th, down in Perth, Australia, the Leech is finally fucking back. Li Jingliang steps back in to take on Carlos Pratas in Perth at 305. The next one, the brothers are doing the old switcheroo thing again here because now we've got Junior Tafa stepping back in to take on Walter Walker, Johnny Walker's heavyweight brother here, because it's the new thing in the UFC, brothers in different weight classes now. So we've got the Tafa brothers here. We've got the Walker brothers here. Junior Tafa, Walter Walker going on 305. Interesting to see how it plays out. Josh Cooleybow stepping back in. I'm very interested to see how this one plays out. Josh Cooleybow versus Ricardo Ramos at 305, August 17th, down in Australia. Very fucking interested in how that one plays out. Ricardo Ramos is embraced basically the fucking gatekeeper role, and Cooleybow is on the fucking come up, man. If he gets past Ramos, that's one of those they're going to strap the fucking rockets to that kid. I'm telling you right fucking now. But one of the biggest ones, excuse me, in my opinion, that they announced for UFC 305 down in Perth, Australia, August 17th, Kai Kara France versus Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg coming off of a very fucking well-fought title fight. Obviously, things could have gone a little better, but for a guy in his position, in the situation that he was in, well fucking done. And as close as Kai Kara France has been hovering around that title picture, getting past Steve Erceg coming off of a title shot will put him right back into that fucking conversation again. And doing it down in Perth with the home fucking crowd there to feed into it, that one could get real fucking crazy.
Who are they going to fucking root for? They're both from that fucking neck of the woods. That's going to be fucking wild. Yeah. Not to mention, Kai Kara France, he's going to have a tough time with Steve Erceg. That dude is a fucking animal. Takes a title fight on short fucking notice. And to be honest, he won quite a few rounds in that fucking fight.
Yes, sir.
He very well could have won that. Had he stepped on the gas in that last round, I think he would have won that fight. But he kind of fell off the gas on the back end there. But short notice.
Yeah, a couple different decisions in the moment could have changed everything for sure.
And to be honest, I see him sitting in the title picture for a long fucking time too. Because he's fucking phenomenal. Like I'm not gonna lie, when they put him in there, I was like, yeah, Steve Erceg was on his way up and he was looking good. I didn't realize how good he was until that fight. And I was like, all right, Steve Erceg, you got my 100% seal of fucking approval. You're a fucking absolute animal.
Yeah, definitely proved a lot as well to me. I was not as well versed in the Steve Erceg fucking world as apparently I and a lot of people should have been before he got that title shot. But I tell you what, we're paying attention now, and to take on somebody like Kai Kara France is going to tell us a lot about where he sits, because we know how good KKF can fucking be when he's on it, and he seems like he is dialed the fuck in right now, ready for it. So that's what I said. I'm very excited to see how this fight plays out. You got a fucking Aussie and then a fucking Kiwi going nuts down in Australia for essentially the number one contender spot. It's gonna go nuts. It's gonna be a great fucking matchup, and it's the right place to put that fight, which makes it even better. We got some interesting news here. We knew that he had been renewed, but we now officially get to finally see Douglas Lima get back into action after Bellator sidelined him for over a fucking year. He will now officially make his return to the cage under the PFL banner September 7th in Bellator San Diego, since it's now PFL Bellator. He's staying on the Bellator Champions Series side of things. He doesn't want to go do that PFL series shit. So it will be the Bellator San Diego card September 7th, and he will be taking on well-rounded journeyman, I believe is the best way to describe him, Aaron Jeffries. Aaron Jeffries fought on Ultimate Fighter for a while. He fought under Bellator for a while. He fought in PFL for a while. He has been around for quite some time, just never quite cracked that upper echelon, really. Fought against Fabian Edwards in a decent matchup, just couldn't, again, get over the fucking hump and get out of his own way and get where he needed to go. But Douglas Lima officially back into action. I think he's going to style on Aaron Jeffries, and I think that's what they want. They want him to go out, put on a highlight reel performance so that he'll be okay if he has to sit again for a little while, which I also feel like he's probably going to have to do after this as well. That being said, UFC 306 UFC Noche at the Sphere, sponsored by Riyadh Season, whatever 9 more fucking titles they put on that stupid fucking thing. September 14th, we got a pair of interesting announcements added to that card here. The first one, Michel Pereira versus Anthony Hernandez. Not really excited about them rewarding Pereira for his bullshit fucking performances, but hopefully Fluffy can pull one out of his ass. We've seen him have bigger wins from worse lead ups that he's been in. So, fingers fucking crossed. I will be Team Fluffy on that fucking night for goddamn sure. Probably not longer than that, but I will be Team Fluffy on that night. The other fight, the one that I am actually kind of excited about and very much more interested in, especially since it's going to be in the Sphere, Ketlin Sousa versus Yasmin Uregui. We have seen not enough of Yasmin Uregui, in my opinion, since she made her debut. That girl is going to be a problem for everyone in that fucking division. And I'm glad to see them getting her back into the rotation here, because I'm telling you right fucking now, if she's not the champion, she's going to hover in that fucking top 5 region as soon as they get her the opportunity to see the light of that fucking side of the division. It's only a matter of time. Back over to the other side of things here. PFL has officially confirmed that PFL Africa will debut summer 2025. Led by the chairman of that particular side of the organization, none other than Francis Ngannou. So it is official. They have got a location that they have not released yet due to logistics, but they have got a location set. They are building a card. PFL is essentially on track to genuinely beat the UFC in putting on an event in Africa with African talent. I don't know that it's going to be anything compared to what the UFC is trying to do over there with all the talk that Dana White has had about it, but I am very curious to see how they can put this together, especially with someone with the likes of Francis Ngannou heading up that side of the organization. Excuse me. PFL doesn't have all good news, though, because the last 2 are also PFL tied here that I've got. The first one is not necessarily PFL's fault per se, although you can go back and watch that episode if you want to hear about the whole story. But we've now got confirmation that FanDuel has officially been fined and charged $250,000 because they accepted bets during a PFL set of fights that were pre-recorded and then broadcasted after the fact. They allowed live betting on it. There was a situation when it happened in the moment. We talked about it. Like I said, go back, listen to that episode. We get in the nitty-gritty about it. But it is now official. FanDuel has been ordered to pay $250,000 tied directly to that specific incident. This is another one. I'm curious if there's going to be any future implications or future punishments because of something like this, because it was a knowingly done act. But because it needs more looking into or more punishment than I feel just having to pay money, it's probably not going to get it. That being said, this one is actually good news on the PFL's part, kind of. We have officially had the first fighter under the PFL banner suspended by USADA. Gokhan Sarakam has officially become the first fighter under the PFL banner suspended by USADA for not one, but two different infractions in not one, but two different sample sets. But because USADA going to USADA, they didn't notify him after his first set of samples came back positive and went ahead and started testing the second set of samples and got the results back before they were able to contact him. So because they didn't actually tell him he popped hot the first time until they had both sets of results, they agreed to consider it one single infraction. Bear in mind, he tested positive for clomiphene and two different metabolites in two different sets of samples and the B-sides for both of those samples as well. So essentially, he had 8 different fucking tests come back for clomiphene and different metabolites. But because they didn't reach out to him properly like they should, USADA, he's getting one bulk suspension tied to all of it because no matter what organization they're working with, USADA going to USADA. But that is what I have got in terms of news and recent events this week. Either one of you gentlemen have anything I might have missed this week?
Nope, not gonna lie. I have not been in a whole lot of news looking this week. In fact, I've been pretty absent in all of social media this week.
Good. Well, that being said, that will bring us to the point where most podcasts, you would get some bullshit B-roll ad for some fucking product that nobody on the show uses for some company that has no idea what fucking show they're even sponsoring most of the time. And we don't play like that around here. The I'm No Joe podcast is sponsored by viewers like you. If you would like to help us do what we do around here, easiest way to do that is patreon.com/I'm No Joe. For as little as $1 a month, you get your name as a thank you on the end of every broadcast on this channel to let everyone know how much of a badass you are, as well as unrestricted access to the behind the scenes and unaired content here on the channel, things that literally were too hot for OnlyFans. You get access to for helping us do what we do. So patreon.com/I'm No Joe if you want to get in on that. That being said, if you've been watching combat sports for any length of time, like some of us have, you start to learn what you like and where to watch it and when it comes on, and you develop your habits for what you like to consume. And it can inevitably lead to developing a set of metaphorical blinders. You can start to lose the forest for the trees, as it were. Luckily for us here on the podcast, though, we've got ourselves a bona fide young person who vigilantly stays out there just ever so delicately fingering the pulse of the MMA world to help keep us abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they actually are names in a little segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. So I do have a few contenders this weekend. Definitely quite a few cans. It's not hard to find those on this card. I mean, even for me, the main event, I don't care about it. Like, I wasn't really interested in Rose versus Macy. Rose has looked kind of over the past couple years, even though she did win her last fight. Still, like to root for her, but it's just all the women's divisions kind of feel stuck right now. They're in a pretty rough spot. It's hard to get excited for a lot. How Rose has looked, not like dominating, not getting the finishes, just not really putting out the greatest fights. It's been rough to even root for her to get a title shot. So it's tough for me. Hopefully that fight's good. Both of them are decent looking. That's the best thing I can look at it. Two good looking girls getting after it. They might not look so good at the end of it, and that'll be fun. Maria Agapova is a lady I would definitely throw in the fucking can at this point. She had some potential, I would suppose, but at this point, she's just not looked that great. She's lost her past couple fights now to Jillian and Marnia Moroz. So we'll see how she does this weekend. But she's fighting a really talented young lady that I would throw in the contender spot, Ruana Santos. Ruana Santos is one of my contenders this weekend. 7-1. Few finishes, most of them by submission, but she got that knockout of Juliana Miller in her debut. Beat Stephanie Egger in her last fight. So we'll see how that young girl does. I feel like Gotham doesn't get thrown in the can. You got to throw this fight as a whole. Andre Petrovsky and Josh Friend. Got to throw that one in the fucking trash. I think Josh Friend actually won his last fight. Wait, no, he lost to Roman Kopylov. It was the fucking Trayshawn Gore fight he won before that. That's what I'm fucking thinking about. But Petrovsky had a little decent run there. He won his first 5 once he got in the UFC, and then he's gotten his ass kicked in his last couple fights, and it's just kind of proven he was not worth shit. He had a good little start, but dude is not worth much salt. And I don't think this fight's going to be worth a damn. You throw Ange Loosa in the can as well. I don't think this dude's the greatest fighter in general, but then that last fight against Brian Battle really spoke volumes. Like, it looked like the dude just quit. He was looking for a fucking way out of the fight. And then tried talking shit after the fact. Just not looking forward to that fight with him, but him specifically throw him in the can. You got Ponzinibbio, man. Santiago Ponzinibbio. Like, when he came into the UFC, right, he had maybe some fucking potential, but hey, the dude shat the bed throughout his career for the most part. 37 years old now. You could throw that fight as a whole in the fucking can because Muslim Salikov's 40 years old as well. And dude's just been weird lately. Like, it's just been some weird and bad fights with him. So don't expect that one to be anything special. And then also got Cody Brundage in that fucking Razak Al Hassan fight. Throw that shit in the can as well, man. I don't think that's going anywhere special. Best we can hope for is Al Hassan knocks Brundage out. I don't think that fight's going to be much worth a shit. I do have a Schrodinger's can tender for this week. You guys might like it, you might not. Giving the guy a chance because he's been so fucking active and he has shown some decent moments against some talented guys. Charles Johnson, he's got an opportunity this weekend against a young kid, Joshua Van, who's looked very good since he's gotten in the UFC. He could steal that kid's momentum a slight bit. Like, he's still really young. Josh Van loses this fight this weekend. He's 22 years old. He's going to bounce back. The kid's really fucking talented. We know he's going to fucking go somewhere. Charles Johnson, though, man, he's already 8 fights in the UFC. He's fucking been in the UFC for like 18 months. So he's just stayed active as shit. He's a Missouri guy from St. Louis. Always root for my Missouri guys. He hasn't gotten a ton of finishes out of his fights in the UFC. I feel like that's the shit that's really been lacking, but that's where I got him on the fence. We'll see if he can fucking do something special with another opportunity, because this is really, for him, a short notice fight. Josh Van was supposed to fight Ulanbekov like a couple weeks ago or some shit like that. So this is kind of short notice for the both of them. I still kind of expect Josh Van to win, but that you got that opportunity. That's what I'm giving Charles Johnson. I'm not going to throw him in the contender for shit, but the dude continues to stay active like he does. You continue to get decent wins. You can work your way up there. And I'm going to root for the Missouri guy. So, but he's on the fence. He's been a bit back and forth. Just been active as hell. He had some decent moments. I feel like this would be his best win, getting that hype of Josh Van, because that kid's looked really good since he came in. And take that turn right back into the contenders. Josh Van. I feel like the kid's going to get the win over Charles Johnson, even though Charles has fucking been active. It might be a tough fight for him. But I think the kid gets it done. He's looked really damn good. He's got some serious fucking striking in him, some good fucking boxing. Biggest thing I love about that kid, he works the body like more than almost anybody we've ever seen coming to the UFC. He loves to work the fucking body. He's like a true boxer coming in the UFC. Like I said, kid's 22 years old. There's a ton of potential. Exciting. Looking forward to seeing what he does. Would have been nice if that fight wouldn't have fallen out with Ulanbekov because that would have pushed him into the fucking rankings. This one kind of keeps him right on the edge. I don't think they'll throw him into the rankings, beat Charles Johnson, but keeps him relevant. Hopefully, he gets his way in the next fight. Touched on Luana Santos. Excited to see what she does. Jasmine Jasdavicius. She's had a couple of weak moments, but at the same time, she's shown some potential. So she keeps stringing them together. Like, you just think about that situation. She fought Tracy Cortez last year, I think. She would have won that fight. She's potentially in this situation instead of Tracy, where she's fighting Rose Namajunas this weekend instead of this fucking shit that she's getting. But I feel like she's still got some potential. And though the women's divisions are just so fucked right now, any of those young ladies strings a few good ones together, they're probably throwing themselves into a good spot. So Jean Silva, you got to throw him in the contender spot if he fucking makes weight and then does something special this weekend. Then we're really looking towards that kid. I mean, he looked good a couple weeks ago. Didn't Charles Jourdain, don't think that guy's a world beater. He was, honestly canny. But I didn't expect the kid to go out there and lay him out. So that was impressive to me, even if he missed weight. This one's at 155, I think, right? He's fighting Drew Dober. So maybe he stays at lightweight after that fact, especially because of missing the fucking weight. We'll see how that goes. But kid's got potential. You go out there fucking 2 weeks after the one knockout. So that's 2 finishes so far since you got in the UFC, and then you knock out Drew Dober this weekend on that short notice. It'll fucking put you in some contendership. Got Montel Jackson versus Damone Blackshear. This is one of the fights on the card I'm actually interested in. I know it's like a late notice fill-in as well. Can't remember who Jackson was supposed to fight originally, but I know that Blackshear's like a fill-in. Blackshear's just another dude, I think, from Missouri. So I root for that shit, but he's had his decent moments. I feel like he's got more potential than Charles Johnson out of the Missouri boys, and it'd be a good moment for him to beat Montel Jackson. But Montel Jackson, he's actually looked pretty damn good. That dude's got some ability and some potential, and be excited to see him get some serious tests. Like I said, I can't remember who the hell he was supposed to fight, but it was somebody definitely better than Blackshear. Like, he was going to get a better fight than this, I think. You got the Bonfim brother. Still, we don't know. They're shaky. They've had some shaky moments. Yeah, the TJ's already shaking his head. We'll see. We'll see what the kid does this weekend, right? I mean, he's fighting Angelusa. It's a can. I mean, you better go out there and dust the can, otherwise you don't have any chance in hell. Christian Rodriguez, I feel like has some potential in being a contender. He only had the one loss. Come out here and been the only one to shut up that stupid fucking kid, Raul Rosas Jr., but at the same time getting wins over Cameron Seaman and another talented Missouri kid, Isaac Bulgarian. Like, kid's been stringing together some wins. See if he continues to impress. The last thing I got for the contender spot, I hope it winds up being the contender of a fight. The main event. Like, in your guys' eyes, you probably would agree with it, even though I'm not interested in the fight. It should mean something. Like, the winner of this fight should be put in a good position in that flyweight division, but everything's being fucking held up with the title fight. We still don't even know what the fuck's going on because Valentina's bitching and complaining, don't want to fight at the Sphere. Grasso saying, nope, not fighting anywhere but the fucking Sphere. Why the fuck has the UFC even waited this goddamn long to have the fight in the first place just to fucking have her headline the Sphere? All of it's ridiculous. They've been doing ridiculous shit all year. Every time they've been going around the country having an actual fight night, we get shitty fucking cards. No different than the Apex events. The main events have been shit. I hope this one's good. I wasn't excited for the Macy Barber and Rose fight. I'm slightly more excited for Tracy Cortez because I feel like she's got more potential than Macy Barber. But she hasn't really fought anybody, even though she's won every fight she's had in the UFC so far. She hasn't fought anybody anywhere near this level. So it's like interesting as hell, but at the same time, she could just get absolutely mollywalked, just dog walk. Like Rose could just go out there and big sister her ass so bad, especially since it's short notice fight. Rose has been in a training camp, prepared. I don't think this is going to be much fucking different either. Like Macy likes to try to wrestle and grapple. That's Tracy's game big time. Like I feel like Rose is going to still carry the same game plan. Like I said, she's been training, she's prepared. It's going to be rough for Tracy. She never had a 5-round fight. I'm interested in some of it, but at the same time, like I said, it's just Rose. I'm hoping we get that. I still want to root for Rose. Just like I see Meter, he's over here nodding. He's like, he fucking guess what you're hoping for. We want to see Rose go out there and beat this girl's fucking ass. This girl is a young girl with some potential. She's trying to talk about, oh, she's going to fight Alexa Grasso for the title. No, fuck that bitch. I'm going to whoop your fucking ass. I'm taking that shit. You know, if anybody else is going to get it, that's what we should get. If he ain't going to give it to Valentina, give it to the other chick that's been a champion multiple fucking times. Let's get some excitement here, for fuck's sake. You know. So I hope it goes good. Should be a contender of a fight. Like I said, Tracy Cortez hasn't lost a fucking fight, but she can't finish a fight worth a damn. Like, that's the biggest thing for me. I think she is going to get her ass beat because of that as well. She just doesn't have power. She's got good hands a little bit in the sense that she has decent boxing, but she doesn't have power. She tries to grapple and wrestle, but she doesn't really get submissions. I think she's got, what, one finish out of her entire career? Check my notes again real quick. No, 2. I put the LMFAO exclamation marks. Only 2 finishes out of her fucking entire career. She got 13 professional fights. Jesus. That's rough for a chick that has the potential as a contender and hasn't lost a fight. Don't like decision machines. I gotta hope and faith that Rose is gonna make this fucking fight exciting. Love to hear what you boys got for the Kansas contenders this weekend.
First, let me applaud you. That is the most fucking can talking I've ever heard out of you, and it was fucking fantastic. You're finally hitting your fucking stride as making sure you're calling it straight. Fucking kudos to you this week, Christian. That was fucking fantastic. You
well,
damn near hit.
I will say this week was easy too. It was easy to not have any emotional attachment to certain fighters that I may fucking be like, oh no, they're not quite a king. I still like them, you know. No, there was none of that shit this week.
Oh, it's kind of nice to not see you fucking shit up this week. I'm proud of you. I really am. Kudos. So yeah, from top to bottom, this card sucks. I'll say it. Even the main event is not main event worthy, in my opinion. The only reason Tracy Cortez is getting this fight with Rose is because she's unbeaten in the UFC. If she wasn't, she wouldn't be getting this fucking fight. Because, like you said earlier, the caliber of featherweight or flyweights that she's fucking fought so far, not very good. To her credit, though, she's dominated almost all of them. There was one where she had a split decision, but that's to be expected as you're learning the craft. I think a lot of that had to do with the romantic entanglements that were going on during that time frame, which are, thank God, past her, so we can actually see the fucking whatever she decides to grow into, as far as the fighter is concerned. Rose, right, hit or miss lately. I would be willing to throw her as a Schrodinger's contender because we don't fucking know with her lately. I'm not saying she is the Schrodinger's contender, but this is probably the closest that I can say as a whole fight on the card that I would be willing to call not cans. Because to their both of their credit, one former title challenger, one is undefeated in the UFC, so I can't call them cans so far. But neither can I call them the other side of that coin, because I don't know where they're both sitting right now. Co-main event can go fuck itself. I'm probably most excited about the Jean Silva and Drew Dober fight on this fucking card. To be quite honest, if Silva shows up like he has in his first two fights in the UFC and just fucking flatlines Drew Dober, he's a fucking rocket ship waiting to go off, because Drew Dober's been here and he's a fucking dog. He's been KO'd what, once, maybe twice? Yeah, just one fucking time. And Drew puts on hella fights. He does not make boring fights. So this fight's going to be exciting one way or fucking another. This is probably the best fight on the card. I will say this is the best contender fight on the card, in my opinion, as far as the excitement that should come out of it. I can't get on the Bonfim train. Look, as much as I would love to see two brothers do well in the UFC, or two siblings of any sort do well, we've seen that never fucking works. And Gabriel looked like he was the better of the two. But after his last outing and getting fucking flatlined by Dalby, I just don't see it anymore. He didn't look like that same guy where those first two fights where I went, oh, there's a little spark there. He's not that dude. And Angalusa, that dude, they can let him go at any point. I don't think they're going to let Bonfim go with having 2 wins and only 1 loss, unless he loses to fucking Angalusa. Then, yeah, maybe you fucking cut ties with him. But the way that the UFC is doing things funny lately, I don't think they're going to let either one of them go, which is a bummer. Nobody cares about Julian Rosa or Christian Rodriguez. Fuck them both. It's another fucking can. Then the opener for the main card, cans. And look, the only thing that is going for that is a possible first round knockout if Abdul fucking connects in the first round. That's the only thing he's good for, is a first round knockout. That's it. After that, he's fucking trash. Unfortunately, what we're probably going to see is a shitty Cody Brundage take it to decision, because that's just the way he fucking fights. And that is a whole terrible. The premier prelim, another great fight that I'm looking forward to, namely because of Joshua Van. That dude is one of the few young up-and-comers that I've kept my fucking eye on. And you nailed it earlier. His body of work, which is both figurative and literally there, the way he works the fucking body is like nobody else in the fucking business right now. He's got some spark to him. If he gets by the very active Charles Johnson, I don't think he is gonna get into the rankings, because unfortunately the late notice replacement, but sometimes they do, because hey, you took a short notice fight, you got work done, we'll scoot you up there. But it's going to depend on the caliber of win he has if he beats Charles Johnson.
That's cool that you said it was premier prelim too. I didn't fucking know that. I thought it was going to be lower down in the prelims. UFC did the right thing for once. It's good shit.
Yeah, they really did. And
that's probably the best fucking fight out of the prelims. So
I will say my Schrodinger's contender is indeed Jasmine Judavicius, because I have no fucking clue what the hell she is actually going to do. Because she's looked all right a couple times, then she's looked not so all right. So it's kind of a fucking toss-up for me. And granted, she is kind of getting tossed a fucking softball in Fatima Klein, but if she can't hit that one out of the park, then we know no longer Schrodinger's contender, just can't. And other high five here. The entire fight of Josh Fremd and Andre Petrovsky, fuck them both. They can both die in a fiery car crash on the way to the fucking event, and I wouldn't feel bad about it. The only thing I would feel bad is that they would do some all of a sudden in of if they die on the way to the fucking fight, and then I'd have to deal with that bullshit too. But yeah, it's really fucking hard to pick some fucking contenders on here. And so the main event, I'll give the contenders because it's gonna pole vault one of them in one way, shape, or form in that fight. The Drew Dober John Silva fight, that's contender worthy in my fight, but only for John Silva. For Drew Dober, it's just holding his position, maybe getting a little bump and getting him back on the right track. Because there was for a while, there was a good spark where Drew Dober looked like he had some really good potential, but then that kind of faded away with that fucking knockout loss. As a whole, this card is full of cans. There's only a few contenders on it, and to be honest, this is the only one I disagree with. The Montel Jackson, Damon Blackshear, I don't give a fuck about that fight. I don't. Other than that, you pretty much nailed everything on the head this week. That's why I said very good job and kudos. The amount of fucking cans you threw out there and just kicked the fuck out of them, hell yes. Put them bitches in the dent bin because I'm kicking them too.
Yeah, I gotta say, for the most part, you pretty much nailed it right up and down the board. I will say I am so much less interested than apparently everyone in the fucking world than what Gene Silva can do. Bravo for knocking out Charles Jourdain means absolutely fucking nothing to me because you didn't just miss weight, you blew weight, and you didn't even try to go cut weight when they gave you the extra hour to go cut that little bit that you missed by. So you're a quitter. So until you can prove to me that you can make weight at contracted weight and then do all the shit to back up the shit talking that you've done, then I might consider paying attention. But as of right now, that fucker left a bad taste in my mouth from the get-go, and I'm not interested. So that being said, Drew Dober isn't the world beater that a lot of people initially thought he was going to be. So getting by him should be essentially a replay of the last time we saw him out, assuming he can actually make it to this fight. That being said, I'm not really that interested in seeing that. John Silva has already soured his fucking shot in my eyes. You can't make a second first opinion. That being said, there are some interesting, like I said, there's some diamonds in the rough here. This is very much a hangover card. There's a lot to not get excited about on this card, but there is a lot to get excited about on this card. That Josh Van versus Charles Johnson, I absolutely agree with the contender status. We've seen Energy come out and be a badass. We've seen Charles Johnson come out and get fucking rocked. There's no way to know which version of Charles Johnson we're going to see this weekend. But if he shows up ready and prepared, Josh Van's going to give him everything he could fucking handle. I absolutely agree. I think Josh Van has probably the brightest future on this fucking card, if we're going to be honest here. But that all revolves around getting past the test that is going to be Charles Johnson. That being said, I 100% agree with Christian here, the Montel Jackson versus Damon Blackshear. Not that the fight is going to be some great spectacular fight potentially, because we just don't know. But with Damon Blackshear being one of 3 people to hold a twister submission in the UFC, we've seen how hard it is to pull that off, to even get close to it. And he essentially had it twice in the same match, but couldn't lock it up the first time. When he locked it the second time, it was fucking done. Damon Blackshear has a lot of potential, and just in my opinion, hasn't been given the opportunity to really show what he's capable of. So I'm very curious to see how that one plays out. I absolutely agree. Fuck Petrovsky and Frem. They can both fuck off all the way down to the B League so I don't ever have to see either one of those fuckheads ever again. Neither one of them should be in the position for me to be having to say that they can both fuck off, because they don't deserve to have worked their way up this high to get to a position to be told to fuck back off. They're that low of a fucking dented can, in my opinion. Both of them.
And for anybody that thinks we're biased on Charles Johnson or Damone Blackshear because we're Missouri boys, Josh Fremd is also a Missouri boy, and he came out of the FAC.
That's right. He came out of one of the organizations.
So we are not completely biased to Missouri.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because Christian and I are both very pro FAC. I love what those fucking organizations do, and Frem can go fuck himself. So, yes, absolutely. I will say the one other fight that I am morbidly curious about is the curtain jerker itself. Evan Elder versus Darius Flowers. This is one of those situations where I don't think it's going to be the best fight on the card. I don't think this is going to be fight of the night or anything. I just think that this is one of those situations where we've got two young guys that neither one has really gotten an opportunity to showcase what they're capable of. Most of their fights have been short notice or replacement fights or something of that nature. Neither one of them have really had a chance to actually show what they're capable of. Now we've got them curtain jerking here in Denver, where they're going to be at altitude. So they're going to essentially be setting the pace for a card at the Mile High fucking region. So
is that a last minute fight?
Yes. Yes. This is another last minute fight.
A couple days ago when I was doing my notes, I didn't fucking see that one on there. Holy shit, Evan Elder getting in there. Another Missouri boy.
I was going to say, another Missouri boy on the fucking card. This one I will fucking root for here, because this fight has a lot of fucking potential to be fun. I don't think it's going to be, like I said, I don't think it's going to be the best one. I don't think we're looking at fight of the night contender here. I think this is just two young, fun dudes with a lot of potential. This is not necessarily the same situation, but very similar to when we saw Peyton Talbot, Cameron Saman. Words hard sometimes. Two young, very fucking potentially great dudes, and instead of letting them fight their way up and meet in the end, they're going to let them clash right out of the fucking gate and let one rise and one fall. I'm always curious when they do shit with young guys like this, and these, I'm particularly interested in both of them, so I think there's a lot of potential fun to see how that one shakes loose. I've got to say, the main event is fun, but it's really the only thing on the main card that has me interested. The co-main event feels like both of those dudes are one step from the fucking Legends League. Fuck John Silva. Drew Dober's an underwear model. He's not a fucking fighter. We've seen that at this point. The Bonfim brothers both suck. They can both go fuck themselves. Onge Lusa is a can with a hard right hand. Christian Rodriguez beat Chihuahua and then fucked up after that. So now he's tripping over his own dick trying to keep his fucking name relevant. Juicy J is a fucking clown onto his own fucking right. Brundage is a joke. Al Hassan is only good when you give him 45 seconds to win. There are lots of fights to watch on this card. There are not a lot of fights to get excited about on this card. I'm glad that there is combat sports, but there's not a lot to get really stoked about.
I definitely agree with both of you. There's a few things I'm excited about for sure. A few fucking young ones we're excited to see, but we're all in agreement this week. Majority of it's a pile of shit. Hopefully we get surprised. Hopefully somebody polishes a couple turds.
Thanks, sir. Much appreciated. So that being said, that'll bring us to the point in the show where we have one segment that does actually require its own disclaimer here. So if you will. Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology.com does offer you the option to go onto their website, create a free account, and make fantasy-style MMA picks, kind of like fantasy football, but for fighting. They even let you make groups on there. So we did. We made one called I'm No Bookie. It's all one word, or group 965, however you need to find it. The group is open to the public. You are welcome and encouraged Make yourself an account, join the group, and let us know who the hell you are so we can hold your picks accountable with our picks in a little segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
Welcome back after 2 weeks off, basically. So we've got a lot to go over, and I'm going to do it fairly quickly because, to be honest, the way that UFC 303 played out with last-minute changes, it kind of fucked everybody on their picks a little bit. Which, I mean, it could have been 100 points to sway you one way or another. So everything from here is going to have an asterisk on it. Maybe because I'm a little salty, which is okay. But this is how this is going to play out. So overall, for 303, the way that the picks played out, everybody on the pretty much everybody in the group did fairly well, with the exception of, well, the meter. He legitimately earned the trip over your dick, run it over with the lawnmower, piece it back together, and then, if that wasn't enough, we were getting out the steamroller, throwing down the fucking pavement and letting her fucking roll. He pulled a whopping 3 of 12 correct. Now, I pick with my heart and some crazy shit sometimes. Whatever you were smoking that day when you made those picks, you need to adjust your intake a little bit or change to something else when you're making your picks. I just want to make that clear because I don't want to see that happen to you again.
To be fair, one of my 3 correct was perfect. Thank you.
I'm not taking that away from you. Not taking that away from you. One of them was perfect. Yes, there was indeed a perfect on there. How everybody else kind of stacked up in the middle, basically on top of each other, except for Vindog the Booty Hog. Fucking taking it with 8 of 12 correct out of the group there. He was on fucking point. Now, to be fair, everyone could have had one more right, but because of the very last minute change in fight, Dan Ige stepping in place of old fucking hospitalized Brian Ortega, nobody got the pick right because you can't make a pick after the card is already set. Unlike in some sports betting books where the fights have already happened and they let you make picks on a rerun, which is kind of strange. I'm just saying, we don't let that happen on Tapology, and this is free, so it doesn't cost you anything, but at least they follow the fucking rules. So good on them. Which brings me to another reminder. If you have not yet, join Tapology. Did I mention it's free? You can come over, make some picks with us, hop into the group, 965. I'm no bookie. You don't have to tell us who you are if you don't want to, and you just want to test the waters to see where you're at. That's cool. Let us know once you've tested the waters. We'll get you into the group. But if you do want into the group and you want us to track you, let us know who you are. We'll also get you an invite into the upcoming Grand Prix whenever that start date starts, because, well, fuckery right now with not knowing all the cards that are going to be coming out. So we're kind of in a holding pattern. Speaking of Grand Prix, we do need to go over that. Again, everything that I say here is with an asterisk because of the last minute replacement, and shit could have went a whole bunch of different ways. But unfortunately, I went from leading the pack for almost the entirety of the Grand Prix to getting beat up by 10 fucking points. Christian, because I had fucking one less pick right than he did, gets me by 10 points, gets the overall in the Grand Prix with 4,640 points. Me, I'm sitting at 4,630. 10 fucking point difference. This is why I say the asterisk. That other fight could have been the difference on whether or not I took second or first. But, it is what it is. Congratulations to Christian. Did well. On the plus side, we know for a fact that the tyrannical run of Donna has been completed because she only managed to get third, which is fucking great because that says she's just average in the pack now. She's just part of the pack. We don't have to worry about that crazy run the fucking gamut on us all the time. Vindog, with his fucking fantastic performance, pulls into fourth place. Now, what's crazy is even with the shitty fucking picks that Meter has, he doesn't pull up in the last spot. that honor goes to Don for fucking around, finding out what happens when you pick on your alternate account that's not in the fucking group. But you know, it is what it is. Overall, it was a fantastic run for this Grand Prix. I can't wait for the next one to pop out. Because I mean, of the fucking 110 picks that were possible, we all were over 50% on our picks overall from the start of that Grand Prix to the end. Everybody in the group, even the ones who didn't get their picks in under the correct name or forgot them, was still over the 50% in total amount of picks that were available. So those are good fucking numbers. Love to see that in the group. Can't wait to see it happen again in the future here. Now, to do a quick rinse over this shitty ass fucking card odds for the majority, the vast majority of the card is coin flips. There's only two that I'm going to talk about that are outside of that, that are not coin flips, other than the co-main and main, because I cover those all the time. One of them being the opening fight on the card. Darius Flowers, Elder, excuse me. They've got Evan Elder coming in as a minus 450 favorite over a plus 325 underdog in Darius Flowers. So it's a hell of a way to open the card, knowing it's that fucking lopsided. The other one, another can fight that none of us really gives two shit about. Luana Santos and Maria Agapova. Got Santos coming in as a minus 400 favorite over Agapova as a plus 300 underdog, which makes sense because she hasn't done diddly squat. Everything else is relative fucking coin flips. Nothing crazy odd. Oh, wait, I guess there is one other that's fairly odd. I guess we'll cover that real quick. And that's the Anguissa Gabriel Bonfim fight. They have Bonfim coming in as a minus 350 favorite over a plus 275 in Anguissa. So not a huge wide gap, but it's wide enough to where it makes sense because, well, Anguissa's been crap and Bonfim's got 2 finishes and 1 loss so far. As far as the co-main and main are concerned, Muslim Salikov, Santiago Ponzinibbio, pretty much coin flip. Got Ponzinibbio coming in as a minus 185 favorite over a plus 150 underdog in Muslim Salikov. King Kung Fu is not looking so hot there. Onto your main, another close to coin flip in Namajunas and Cortez. Rose coming in as a minus 200 favorite, whereas Tracy is coming as a plus 165 underdog. So not super wide odds. A lot of these fights could go either way, and they were very right in the way that the odds makers made it. It's weird to have that taste come out of my mouth and agree with the odds makers this week, but with the way the cans lined up, they're all going to get knocked down one way or another. To be honest, the vast majority of this card, you're not going to remember those fighters' names. In the future, 10 years down the road, you're not going to remember the vast majority of these guys. That's just the way it plays out. But those are what we've got for odds this week. Again, one last time, if you have not, come join Tapology, join the group. Let us know who you are. We'll tell you when you do good. We'll tell you when you tripped over your dick, or if you have a vagina, we'll let you know that you got a yeast infection. We don't care. We're equal opportunity haters and equal opportunity pat you on the back when you do well. But that's all I got for this week.
Much appreciated, sir. Thank you for that as always. So that being said, as is the case more often than not, I have forgotten the combat sports menu for the weekend until the end of the show. So we're going to do that right now before I forget and wrap the show without doing it. So that being said, the UFC is not the only game in town this weekend. If you need combat sports to help you through, we've got you covered here. Starting in just a couple of hours here at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. One Friday Fights, because they're on the other side of the world. One Friday Fight 70 kicks off bright and early tomorrow morning. Just one MMA fight, 10 Muay Thai fights in 4-ounce gloves. So fun to be had, lots of combat over there first thing in the morning. If that's a little too early for you, 11:30 a.m. tomorrow morning Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, PFL MENA Middle Eastern North Africa #2 takes place from over in Riyadh. PFL starting to, like I talked about earlier, really invest in Middle Eastern, North African, and now full African fight organization promotion over there. So the second of those cards that they have put on kicks off tomorrow morning early. Tomorrow evening, though, a little bit more reasonable for most of us here, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, LFA 188. This is another one of those feeder organizations we like to talk about. Some of these guys are guys that have been knocked out of a UFC run or guys that are trying to make a UFC run. The guys that generally get the belt in organizations like LFA usually end up in the UFC or in Bellator or in PFL or in 1FC. They make it to the big leagues from places like LFA. So this is not only a place to just watch some good MMA, watch some combat sports, get a little bit of knowledge, but to, like I talk about before Christian segment, to look for names that are going to be names before they are names, guys that are on the come up, that are not quite to the pro levels yet, but they're going to be real fucking quick. Places like this is where you see them. That brings us to the piece de resistance that is Saturday, and that is the UFC Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, a late kickoff. Once again, thank you, MMA gods. UFC live from Denver, Colorado, the Mile High City. Namajunas versus Cortez now was originally Barber, but still a decent card overall and interesting fights to be had. Some definitely good stuff to watch out for if you're looking for combat sports this weekend. There are plenty to be had, but that being said, that is what we've got for this particular episode. So if you made it this far and you like what we get up to around here, make sure you've got a thumbs up down there for us. Make sure you're subscribed and your notifications are turned on wherever you are picking this up. We do this live pretty much every Thursday before a big fight weekend here on youtube.com/I'mNoJoe. If you're not able to pick it up live or you don't want to watch it in video format, I own mirrors, I understand, fret not. The week after we go live, it comes out in the all audio format over on anchor.fm/I'mNoJoe. And you can pick it up to your podcast consumption platform of choice. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you're into. Anchor does all that for us. So you can pick up the all audio version there. That being said, if you like us, make sure you've got the thumbs up down there. On the other side of that coin, though, if you don't like us, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down and then go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That said, when we wrap things up around here, that is not the end of the fun, because tomorrow morning and pretty much every Friday morning, this gentleman, wait, no, he's over here. This gentleman over here and his other half put out their podcast, the Slow Bake and Contemplate podcast, over there on Spreaker.com. Links to their podcast as well as their social media platforms and their link to the channel of the Slow Bake Place over on the I'm No Joe Discord server as well. All down in the description. Go tell them how awesome they are.
Appreciate you, brother. And the fun never fucking stops. Once we swing back around and next week, get to fucking hump day. I've heard rumors Golf T's gonna fucking be back next week. Foggy Fairway might fucking be happening. Even still, if the man continues to take him some personal time, and you don't get to learn some recipes and mixes and have some fun vape times, you don't get to check out his show every Wednesday night around 9:30 on his YouTube channel. Make sure you look down below in the description, hit the links, show the brother some love.
Thank you, sir. Now, those of you who aren't in the know or don't know by now, Meter does a lot of things. In fact, some would even say he does many things. So if you go down below, Linktree / the Meter does many things, or Linktree / I'm No Joe, that will take you to all of the many things that the Meter does do. So if you've got some downtime between now and, well, whenever, go click the links. There's plenty of things to watch, plenty of things to do, plenty of things to learn there. It's worth your time. I'm just saying.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. That being said, that is all we've got for this particular episode. So remember, we do not do review shows this season. We might bring those back in the future on a Sunday. We don't know how that works out. But for right now, if you want to find out what happens during the course of the weekend for all the good fun that plays out, flip over to the I'm No Joe's YouTube Shorts tab here. It's on the YouTube page. It's just another tab that they moved it to now. Every finish that is worth talking about, I will give you at least a shot of the finish itself. Since I can't use videos, fuck you, UFC. I will at least give you a shot of the finish and tell you what the fuck happened leading to that crazy fucking finish. So if you don't want to sit through some fucking bullshit ESPN 30-minute highlight fucking show that's not going to give you anything you actually look for, you can just look for what you're interested in over on the YouTube Shorts tab here on the I'm No Joe channel. But that being said, that is all we've got for this particular episode. So remember, boys and girls, until next time, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kicks were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.